When you hear this phrase, what kind of relationship do you imagine with someone you recognize? Not family, not friends. What I imagined was someone whose face I know but have never met, or someone I don't want to remember. Actually, this phrase, someone you recognize, is a key expression in the story I'm going to introduce today. If you could imagine this someone you recognize in your mind before continuing with the video, I think it would help. Now, let's get into the details. The Iwai City High School girl murder case occurred around 6:50 a.m. on June 20, 2004. Grass by a ditch near the Tone River in Iwai City, Ibaraki Prefecture. Erina Hirata, who was 16 at the time, was found lying face down by someone passing by in a car. A man discovered her. She was found in a coma but still breathing and rushed to the hospital. Tragically, she passed away around 2:15 p.m. Her clothes were not disheveled when found, but she was wearing shoes. She was not wearing shoes, and even though she was found in the grass beside the drainage ditch, her socks were not dirty at all. She was found about 2 hours earlier between 4 o'clock a.m. and 5 o'clock a.m. She was caught on a security camera at a nearby convenience store, and it looked like she was waiting for someone. At 5:45 a.m., she called 110 3 times, saying that someone she recognized had stolen her money and that she was at the Iwai convenience store. After that, she was believed to have been strangled by someone and went missing. The police said that she had spoken. There is a high possibility that the person she recognized knows something, so the investigation will continue. However, as of 2020, the perpetrator has not been arrested, and the truth remains unknown. First, let's look at the details of the case in chronological order. From Monday, June 14, 2004 to Wednesday, June 16, she was absent from school during this period. On Thursday, June 17th, she went to school and told her homeroom teacher that she felt uncomfortable staying at home. On Saturday, June 19th, around 2 p.m., she was chatting with 4 friends at a family restaurant about 12 kilometers from her home. They ate. After going home, she returned to the same restaurant around 9 p.m. Between midnight and 1:30 a.m. on the 20th, she went to the family restaurant alone. She emailed a female friend, who then joined her at the restaurant. They chatted and sent emails while having a light meal. At 1:36 a.m., based on the receipt record, she left the restaurant at this time. After that, across from the restaurant, she went into a convenience store to buy a prepaid cell phone card, but since they didn't have any, she headed to the park. At the park, she and a friend waited an hour for another friend, but since they didn't show up, they returned to the convenience store. She left her friend around 4 a.m. At 4:08 a.m., she purchased a rice bowl and coffee. She was captured on the security camera, and at this time, she purchased a tool with a knife attached. Before 5 a.m., a store clerk warned her for sitting in front of a shelf and using her phone. She then went to another convenience store. She rode her bicycle about 600 meters to another store, but since this store opened at 6 cm, it was still closed when she arrived. A resident saw her taking a nap on a bench in front of the store. Around 5:45 a.m., she called 110 3 times to report that her money had been stolen. When the police asked her about the person who stole from her, she said it was someone she recognized. Finally, the police told her to come to the station, and she replied yes before the call ended. Right after that, she got into a white passenger car. Around 6 o'clock, she was seen together with a young woman. A store clerk confirmed that her bicycle was left at the convenience store, but she was nowhere to be seen. At 6:10, a 74-year-old woman who lives next to this convenience store heard the sound of someone running hurriedly down the back alley, and then around 6:50, she was found dead in a grassy area about 1.5 kilometers from the convenience store by a passing motorist. She was discovered by a man, and when she was found, her face was covered in blood and she had a nosebleed. She was unconscious, but she was still breathing due to overwork. The paramedics rushed to the scene immediately, but by that time, it was already too late. Her heart had stopped, and there were no noticeable external injuries or signs of her clothes being disturbed. However, her buttocks were wet, and she wasn't wearing shoes, but her socks were reportedly clean. She passed away after that. According to the autopsy results, it was determined that she died of asphyxiation caused by strangulation. The weapon used was something she had been wearing around her neck. It seems her cell phone strap was forcefully pulled from behind. However, her wallet and phone, which she should have had, are missing. Were missing along with her bag. In other words, when she was found, only the strap was around her neck and she did not have her cell phone with her. After that, the phone's weak signal was detected about 70 kilometers away from where she was found, but it has not been located to this day. The police investigated, suspecting she was involved in trouble. She called emergency services to report her stolen money because she said it was someone she recognized. They are focusing their investigation on people close to her. Two people quickly became suspects in the investigation. The first was a 36-year-old Sri Lankan man who was dating her at the time and had bought her a prepaid cell phone. 2 days after the incident, he turned himself in and admitted that he was the one who bought her the cell phone, but he denied any involvement in the murder. The reason he turned himself in was illegal. He turned himself in because he thought his illegal stay would be discovered. Later, his innocence was proven, and he is no longer in Japan. One of them is said to be her ex-boyfriend, who was 18 at the time. This person is a man. On the day of the incident, he was absent from work without permission. He disappeared 2 days after the incident, which could be seen as time to destroy evidence. However, this man was later found and told reporters who came to interview him that he did not know her and that his absence was just a coincidence, denying any involvement in the incident. There is also nothing to directly connect him to the case. There was no decisive evidence. There are many mysteries in this case, such as her actions before her death, the circumstances when she was found, and the way people described her as someone they recognized. From here, I would like to discuss the points that caught my attention based on the information presented so far. First, I will list the things that stood out to me in this case. She stole money. She knows about the other person, but they are not particularly close. Based on the 110 call and her description of the person as someone she recognized but didn't know well, they didn't seem to be in a close relationship. This appeared to be a sudden crime. Could it be that way? Since her cell phone strap was used as the weapon, I don't think it was premeditated. She seemed to be waiting for someone, but maybe she was wary of that person. At the first convenience store, she bought a tool with a knife attached, so perhaps she was expecting something to happen. I think she might have bought it just in case something happened. Maybe the person she was meeting was someone she only knew from photos or had only contacted by phone, and it was their first time meeting in person. That would make sense. People who remember that time know that online friends and dating sites were very popular back then, but there are only a few people who still remember those days. Don't you think so? Also, when she was found, she wasn't wearing shoes, but her socks weren't dirty. I think it's highly likely that something happened to her indoors or inside a car. If you think about it that way, one person comes to mind in this case. It's the woman who was seen on the day of the incident riding in a white car together with her. Actually, this person has already been identified. At that time, this 24-year-old was likely questioned by the police. However, no information has been released and they haven't been arrested. I assume they were probably not involved. And then, there is another person who is considered suspicious. A truck driver. If the person she was waiting for early in the morning was a truck driver, it wouldn't seem unnatural, would it? Actually, this person, they were identified during a television program interview, and that's how they came under investigation. The second person, an 18-year-old man believed to be her ex-boyfriend, was a truck driver involved in the case. He was absent from work without notice on the day of the incident and has been missing for 2 days. In this interview, he answered the following about his relationship with her.
Did you know anything about Ms. Rena's case?
Have you ever met her or communicated with her, like, through email?
No, I haven't. Regarding this matter, the police...
In any case, whether or not an investigation was conducted by the police, unfortunately, this point has not been clarified. If someone recognizes this person, and if this individual was her ex-boyfriend, I don't think it's strange to express it this way. As for the crucial motive, what was it? I have absolutely no idea. The only clue is that she called 110 and said her money was stolen. It's possible that being accused of that made him lose his temper. Those who are familiar with unsolved cases may already know this, but actually some people say that this case might be one of 2 or 3 related incidents. One of them involved a first-year high school girl who was targeted the year before this case, the Itsukamachi high school girl murder case, and another one that happened in the same year as this case. In the Ibaraki University female college student murder case, young women were targeted and the crimes were discovered. Rumors spread due to the crime scenes being within a 15-kilometer radius and having similar circumstances upon discovery. But is this truly accurate? Is this case the work of the suspects from AMPA, or is there another perpetrator? Up until now, we've discussed the details and analysis of this case, but I think it's certain that her actions made her more more likely to get caught up in a crime or become a target. However, I believe that's different from saying she deserved to be killed. The fact that she became a victim, as of 2020, it's unfortunate that this case remains unsolved. I hope the perpetrator will be arrested. I hope the truth comes to light so Ms. Hirata can rest in peace. I pray for her happiness. Next time, we'll discuss another possibly related unsolved case. I would like to discuss the Itsukamachi High School girl murder case. That's all for this time. Thank you for watching.